What's up, everybody? Greg and Ryan here to go over another episode of Jordan Peele's revival of The Twilight Zone. This time we're talking about episode 4, A Traveler.
Now, before we get started, this is a spoiler warning. If you haven't seen the episode yet, get out of here, go watch it, and then come on back. This episode is directed by Anna Lily Amirpour, who also directed episodes for Legion and Castle Rock. It's Christmas Eve in Eglak, Alaska, and Sergeant Yuka Mongiak is driving her brother Jack to the drunk tank with Doris Day's rendition of Here Comes Santa Claus.
Here comes Santa Claus.
Oh God, you're killing me with this howling ass. Come on, turn it off, bro, please.
It seems Yuka is hauling him in because every Christmas Eve, her boss, Captain Lane Pendleton, portrayed by Greg Kinnear, throws a holiday party for the City Hall employees and pardons someone from the cells. The cells are empty this year, hence Jack. But the cells aren't empty for long, when a man calling himself a traveler, played by Stephen Yeun, is mysteriously locked in one of the cells.
I want to be pardoned. Just like you.
Before we jump into references, things we noticed, and things that we think you should probably keep an eye on for the rest of the series, what are your overall thoughts?
This one felt incomplete to me. There was something off about it. The main theme was great. I mean, watching your indigenous characters as they watch their colonizers become the colonized, that's cool. There was a lot of, it felt like world building they were doing in the background, but the actual plot suffered from it.
I'm inclined to agree with that. I mean, it has a lot of the tropes of the Twilight Zone.
A bunch of them.
In it, and also just sort of general sci-fi stories about isolation and fear and paranoia. But it does feel ultimately kind of flat.
Something's missing.
I hereby declare you pardoned, sir, from our jail cell in Eglak, Alaska.
What I do like about this episode is that it continues to enhance the mood, tone, and scope of the series. This may be a case of world building to set up more of the rest of the season, and it overtly and immediately addresses Christian colonization and oppression of Native Alaskan people too. And you know, that is totally fitting in with
Everything
the sort of
so
profile of the series so far. And I like that. So I even felt like in probably the first couple minutes of the episode that I was like, okay, we're in for another strong one, because they come out swinging. And then it just sort of like sort of after the first round of the Christmas party, it just kind of begins to like peter out. I do want to give a little bit of a shout though to Greg Kinnear for being pretty damn good anyway. Like, he is good at filling a role that is, you know, maybe kind of scummy, but needs a lot of personality to it. And he owns this one pretty well. Like, his whole Christmas speech is pretty enjoyable. And on top of that, just got to add that he was in the adaptation of Philip K. Dick's The Father thing in Philip K. Dick's Electric Dreams last year. And now this sets him up to maybe do the Black Mirror and get the trifecta.
That's the hard one. I want to see how his agent, they got to get cracking and see if they can get him over there, because that would be interesting.
Get on that.
I loved all the stuff on colonialism and the stuff on sense of belonging with Yuka and her brother. Like, there's this one scene where they're talking to each other. She's asking him, like, what do you think I want for Christmas? And he just tells her straight up,
Maybe to be one of them.
This episode felt like it was a mashup of a few different OG episodes, including The Howling Man, To Serve Man, and a lot of Will the Real Martian Please Stand Up. Now, you could have convinced me that this was a remake to Will the Real Martian Please Stand Up if it wasn't for the AFB stuff, the Cheney AFB side plot, and a few things from, like, again, Howling Man. But it really felt like they were trying to go for a little bit of Will the Martian Stand Up, and then at the end they said, let's change it. Let's not do that.
Let's go completely in another direction. I watched it sort of appreciating the idea that it was a Real Martian Stand Up. Just with the situation flipped, where it's like kind of apparent who the Martian would be if there was one.
Yeah.
And, you know, because there's no disguising that he's the odd man out.
But if they wanted to make it just like the Real Martian, I'm glad they didn't do it, because it would just had Jack, you know, walk up to him and realize, Jack's an alien.
Jack's, yeah.
One's from Venus and one's from Mars, and they're going to battle right here at the end. And No,
No,
it ends with them.
that isn't what happened.
It ends with them eating pie.
I will say though that in that prior to the pie, prior to him getting the pie, when the Martian like reveals himself, I did kind of like that they made it creepy. They did the soft focus thing.
Don't show the monster.
And
you never want to show the monster.
I thought that was very well handled.
As he says earlier, he's kind of like a scout. Just like in all the OG Twilight Zone episodes, just send one down, check out the Earthlings. Oh, great, they're all dumbasses. Cool, like we can take this place over quickly. And that's kind of what you got out of here, too.
Right, which is sort of how you just end with kind of chilling in the cell, sharing a pie, because the rest are on their way. I also like kind of the Thing vibe I got from this. It's definitely not like really an overt homage or anything. So I really wouldn't fit it into like references, but just some vibes, some tones, the use of the jail cells, this thing of like being able to kind of like separate yourself from the unknown thing. Which of course he breaks that by being able to open the cells like with his mind.
Yeah.
But also the presentation of that, like the dark hallway and the flashlights. There's moments like in the Thing that are like that. The reveal of the antenna moment is like sort of like you kind of see it. And then also once you get to the end and they're at the power station or whatever it is, also just the snow, the sort of red light and
The paranoia kicking
paranoia and uncertainty, which is like so many great scenes in the Thing. I just really liked that.
It's only a lie if we choose to believe it.
Pendleton's tie has Santa taking a mugshot. This is most likely a nod to the episode Night of the Meek from the original Twilight Zone series, where Santa is brought into the police station after he starts giving out presents to strangers that he found in a mysterious bag.
You can spot the dummy Caesar from the episode Caesar and Me on some Christmas wrapping paper.
Oh, in the name of heaven, Caesar, I've had enough.
I'm the one that's had enough. Get that through your head.
And the gremlin returns as well as a Christmas ornament. Also, you can spot Talkie Tina.
My name is Talkie Tina, and I don't think I like you.
Now on close inspection, if you look at a traveler's ID, you'll notice that the address says 1010 Hacker Way. Now for all my Bay Area folks out there, you'll know that that is the address for Facebook's campus, Hacker Way. All right. Now the VHS tapes featured in a quick pan-up shot are A Christmas Carol, The Santa Claus, and wait a minute, that's not Home Alone. It's A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night, which is a cool Easter egg for the director Anna Lily Amirpour.
Early in the episode, the traveler reveals a bucket list which includes
Ride a train to the top of Jungfrau Joch. Dive off Starry-Most Bridge. Kiss Dee Dee Ramone's tombstone at Hollywood Forever Cemetery.
Dee Dee Ramone's headstone features the Ramone seal with the line, "I feel so safe flying on a ray of the highest trails above." Another couple touches that I liked was the use of Inuit in the episode as just sort of subtle tips. So Yucca in Inuit means bright star. And Iglok, the name of the town in Inuit, means traveler or stranger.
Now, a traveler refers to himself as Special Agent Douglas Hayes. Now, this is a cool tribute to the real-life Douglas Hayes who directed 9 episodes of The Twilight Zone, including The Invaders, Eye of the Beholder, and The Howling Man. There's a quick shot of an antenna popping out of the traveler's head. Now, this is a nod to the 1961 episode Mr. Dingle the Strong, where you can spot a few aliens from Venus who are sporting a very similar look.
We talked about Will the Real Martian Please Stand Up a little bit earlier. That's season 2, episode 28 of the original Twilight Zone series. But here are a little bit more of the specific background. A traveler's gentlemanly demeanor and revealing his form are reminiscent of that episode, which takes place in a diner during a snowstorm where local police and a group of stranded bus riders become paranoid at the possibility that there is an alien in their midst. That episode resolves itself to reveal that not only was one of the riders on the bus a Martian, but the diner owner was secretly from Venus. What the end of that episode reveals, of course, is that the Martian who was on board the bus was there to scout and colonize the area. And then the sort of like, ooh, reveal is that the diner owner was in fact from Venus. And was like, hey, sorry, bud, Venus is already here.
This is dated. So you have a few episodes now that we know. One took place in October. Samir is still out there somewhere. At the same time, you have this episode taking place during Christmas, and then we know the next episode coming up with the kid, he's going to be around too because we saw him on the magazine rack in episode 2.
It does feel a little bit like there may be a timeline being created here.
Yes, we may have to do a timeline video at the end of the season. Possibly, we'll see. But I'm getting that vibe right now.
Well, as you know, I'm a fan of unpopular theories that are completely wrong. So I'm going to go out on a limb right here and say that there is definitely an overarching connective tissue to this entire season, and it's slowly going to reveal itself to us.
AFB, what's going on at the Cheney AFB Center? What's going on there? And then at the same time, the aliens are here. So they've come down to Alaska on Christmas Day.
The Martians come at Christmas. We know at some point we're probably going to get a mission to Mars.
Maybe.
We know some wacky stuff happened in October to a flight that mysteriously disappeared temporarily. And then probably the hardest thing to connect is still Replay. You know, you could say that, school starts in, late August or September.
Yeah.
So that could sort of date it in terms of like that period of the year, but
I think
that one has yet to really be connected.
I think we're coming back to that episode through the lotto. I feel like we'll be able to date that one if we come back to that lotto in another episode down the line. Just little things here. 1015 shows up again. What was the code to get into the cell room? It was 1015.
There are actually a couple more things too. So the road sign on the way into town shows Iglock, the Air Force Base, and the North Pole. The distance to Iglock is 5 miles. The distance to the Air Force Base is 10 miles. Now we've seen a lot of 10s and 1s and 5s. We've seen 1015, that was the flight time, the flight itself.
The date, yeah.
And Lasky's license plate and Replay. But if we take 5 miles and 10 miles, we have 510, which is actually also Lasky's squad car number, which you see on the roof of the car in Replay. I don't know what any of this stuff means, but we're seeing these sort of recurrent things, right?
It means nothing.
Oh shit, buddy, I gotta dig a little deeper. There's no Pepe Silvia, you gotta be kidding me! I got boxes full of Pepe!
If you notice anything that we missed or that there's something else that you think we should be following, let us know down in the comments or hit us up on Twitter.
Yes, and we'll be back here next week for episode 5. We get our creepy kid, evil kid. What's going on with him? I can't wait to find out.
I'm down for the evil kid episode.
Oh man.
It's good that you did that.
Bye-bye.